We got massive Padres trade news potentially incoming. Marcus Stroman, the guy there on the screen, could be the next Friars starting pitcher, depending on some of the moves potentially that the Padres have been linked to. What's going on, everybody? Christian Pedersen here with another episode of Padres Digest. Before we go any further, got to remind you to smash that subscribe button. Most of you guys are new listeners and consumers of our channel. We're here to bring you all sorts of homegrown Padres news, information, insights, and just outright opinions. So make sure you hit that subscribe button so we can hashtag beat LA. We got to beat Dodgers Digest in terms of subscribers by the end of the season so we can put that good juju out into the universe for the on-field performance. So let's talk about it. Let's show you Marcus Stroman again. If you are unfamiliar with him, he is a starting pitcher who has gone Chicago, Toronto, and then last season with the New York Yankees. Pretty decent starting pitcher, and a couple of different rumor mill type Twitter accounts, including John Morosi, who I would rate as maybe a 6 out of 10 on the reliability scale, have said that the Padres have targeted Stroman to potentially be the fix in the starting rotation. Now, look, I take everything that I read on Twitter with a grain of salt, so let me break it down for you here in terms of what I have absorbed and what I think could and should happen. Number one is I think that this is all dependent on where Roki Sasaki, the Japanese phenom, winds. As of us recording this, we are still 24 hours away from the beginning of Sasaki's signing window even opening up, so there will be no news, I think, on the Stroman deal at all until after Sasaki goes further. Because if the Padres land Sasaki, any potential moves for Stroman, I think, would just be unnecessary to add this kind of a guy. He's 33 right now. He'll be 34 coming into the season. He's good. He has been great for stretches right there, but the ERA, I don't think is fantastic, and I don't think is also just excusable as though he played in the Bronx and that Petco Park alone would fix that. I think that you're looking at a guy who has had flashes but is on the wrong side of 30 and is going to decline in a way that, to me, is just not worth anything that we could leverage, especially if we get Sasaki. Now, if the Padres don't land Roki Sasaki and, need a starting pitcher, which I don't think anybody ever doesn't need starting pitching. So don't get me wrong when I'm on my soapbox here saying the Padres don't need Stroman. It's not because I don't think anybody could always benefit from pitching. I think that the Yankees, from everything that they have signaled, are targeting either Luis Arraez or a treasure trove of younger prospects and draft capital type of a move. And the Padres don't necessarily have the prospects and draft capital to trade away. We have moved it for various pieces in the past couple of years that I don't think we have the price to pay, and I don't think that Stroman in exchange for our future is worth it. The Luis Arraez deal is an interesting one in that you got to ask yourself, what's the winning formula here? Arraez, for those of you who didn't really dive into the numbers right there, fantastic for the Padres last year. He is potentially the second coming of Tony Gwynn in terms of he is singles and contact and everything that is not baseball right now, with power being what is taking over the mindset of baseball players. This guy is singles, on base contact. So Arraez, I think that he fixes the Yankees' leadoff position. He gets on, and then you get Judge and Stanton and all that power later in the lineup to have somebody to be hitting in and moving things a lot more. That they see that potentially as getting them over the hump. So I think you can dangle this in a decent sort of one-on-one deal. 2 days ago, as of us recording this, the Padres did avoid arbitration with Arraez, so he is under 1 year, $14 million before he becomes an unrestricted free agent. So I think that the tiers of questions then become, with the Shildt-Seidler and the Seidler family lawsuit potentially going on right now, are the Padres never going to spend again? Because if the Padres are never going to spend again, then they need to deal Stroman, or they need to deal Arraez and not just let him walk after one more good season. It doesn't matter how good of a season. If he's going to hit 410, it is unlikely that that's going to be worth just letting him go. So then, maybe with enough pieces in return, if we get Stroman and a bullpen arm or something like that, I could be talked into. That's not the worst deal in the world. It's not fantastic. It's not. I would be sort of non-plus on that. But if we're talking about we have the ability to re-sign Arraez, I just don't see the numbers there. I don't see enough of anything that is dangling, from the Marcus Stroman numbers to just have me going out of my mind being like, oh my goodness, this guy is an absolute perfect fit behind Darvish and King and Cease, going Darvish, King, Stroman, Cease as our 1, 2, 3, 4. That's good. That's not elite. So I think that probably what we're seeing here is a Twitter narrative dominated by the fact that most reporters are not necessarily like anti-Padres, but they're pro-East Coast. They're pro-big markets. They're pro-wanting to have clickbait for you guys to check in on because the Yankees want somebody or the Yankees are one piece away or whatever. So take everything that you see surrounding the Yankees and the Dodgers and the Mets and all that kind of stuff with a grain or two of salt. Not saying that there's not any merit to it, but of course the Yankees are going to want the one leadoff hitter piece who can hit 300 plus consistently all season long and give all of their power bats RBIs to hit in. Of course they're going to want that. Of course they're going to want that and then be able to offer him, gobs more money, bigger market, bigger opportunities than necessarily the Padres by default can offer. Now, I'm not saying the Padres are done offering big-time contracts because we're still in the unknown as to what's going on with the Seidler family trust and lawsuits. And this could all... You could look back on this video in like 2 weeks and be like, oh, nope, the Padres landed Sasaki, and then they're going to re-sign Arraez, and all is good and golden, and maybe we don't even need to deal this. Or maybe now there's some other pieces and permutations where the Padres can land Stroman. But for right now, if I am comparing these statistical numbers to any other combinations of anything, including getting rid of these statistical numbers, I just don't see why that works for the Padres unless we are talking about the absolute worst case scenario, which is no intentions or ability to re-sign Arraez, in which case Stroman's under control for a couple more years, so you might as well do it. So I guess my summary of this is, one, I give you a 10% chance that Marcus Stroman sub 10% chance, 3% chance that Marcus Stroman becomes a Padre. If he becomes a Padre, one of two things has happened. Either red flags abound, and there are some serious long-term issues here with the franchise direction, and we are headed back into obscurity and mediocrity as we slowly fade from being this close to the World Series. Or two is the Padres have had all good news and landed some people, and things are happening, and we were able to work out a deal where we sent some mixture of pieces to pick up Stroman, in which case... I'm willing to eat crow and come on here and say I will buy a Marcus Stroman jersey, and if he is our 4-starter, I will become his biggest supporter and fan. But yeah, so that's the latest with the trade rumors and also a little bit on Arraez. Just also on that subject of we're talking pitching and we're talking arbitration and all that kind of stuff. Dylan Cease is the other Padre who was up for potentially going into... Distracted here getting the graphic pulled up for you. Dylan Cease is a Padre who has avoided arbitration. His numbers are fantastic. If those numbers were Stroman's numbers, I'd say let's make this deal. Let's get him, ship out Arraez. Let's make this happen. But that's what a real starting pitching ace right now looks like in the major leagues, and that's the kind of guy that we want. And the other one who is an unknown as of this point because he is headed into arbitration is Michael King, the former, oddly enough, because just we're talking about Yankees trades and prospects. This is the former Yankee Michael King, who is the one Padre that he will be back as a Padre, but he is going to arbitration, so we will see what the price tag comes of him. That's all the latest Padres news. Like I said at the top of this video, make sure you subscribe to Padres Digest so that we just can hand deliver you guys all the latest news, takes, information, and everything beyond. Drop a comment in the comment section, though, if you think that we should do a deal for Marcus Stroman, what the Padres should give up, or if you don't want this to happen at all. Until then, we'll talk to you guys soon.